Welcome to the Justia Legal Guides video channel. Today we'll talk about divorce law. Not every marriage is until death do us part. Sometimes a relationship stops working and the spouses need a divorce. This process can be confusing and emotionally draining. How a divorce gets resolved can have a big impact on your future. It might affect your finances and your relationships with your kids. This makes it important to understand your rights and options. We'll start this discussion by talking about a few different types of divorce. Then we'll briefly go over a couple of alternatives to divorce. Once we've done that, we'll discuss 3 key issues that often come up when spouses part ways. These are how their property gets divided, whether someone will get alimony, and what happens to the kids. There are other things that can come up in a divorce, but these are probably the biggest issues. Many people think that a divorce means a big fight in a court between the spouses. Sometimes it turns out like that, but often it doesn't. If the spouses can agree on all the issues, they can go their separate ways without much drama. This process is called an uncontested divorce. Here, the spouses would need to sign an agreement and give it to the court. If the judge approves it, which they probably will, it becomes the official resolution of the divorce. People often like it because it can be relatively fast and inexpensive. They may also like being able to decide how their future will look rather than leaving that up to a judge whom they don't know. On the other hand, a contested divorce occurs when the spouses don't agree. Then the court will need to decide the terms of their divorce for them. Sometimes a divorce starts off as contested, but then the spouses resolve their disagreements as the process continues. A mediator might be able to help with that. This is a neutral third party who tries to help spouses find common ground. It used to be that a spouse needed to show that the other spouse did something wrong that caused the marriage to end. This isn't the case anymore. Every state offers some version of a no-fault divorce, which allows a couple to part ways without one spouse pointing the finger at the other. They just need to say that the marriage broke down due to something like irreconcilable differences. However, many states still offer a traditional fault divorce. If a spouse would prefer to take that route, this often requires proving something like adultery, cruelty, or abandonment. Before moving to the main issues that come up in a divorce, it's worth mentioning that divorce isn't the only way to end a marriage. The 2 main alternatives are legal separation and annulment. Some couples get a legal separation for religious or financial reasons. This allows the spouses to keep their marital status without being together in any meaningful sense. However, they can't get married to someone else. Otherwise, it isn't that different from divorce. The spouses will still need to figure out things like how to divide their property, what happens to the kids, and whether one spouse should get spousal support. Just like in a divorce, a court will figure these things out for them if they can't agree on their own. The other main alternative is annulment. Unlike a divorce or legal separation, an annulment says that the marriage never legally existed. It's mostly used for very short marriages. States generally limit annulment to extreme situations such as serious fraud, impotence, or inability to consent. That takes us to the 3 main things that need to be decided in many divorces: property division, alimony, and child custody and support. Let's start with property division. The first question to ask in dividing property between spouses usually is whether something is marital property or separate property. Marital property will be divided between the spouses. Separate property probably won't be divided. although some states include it in property division as well. So what is marital property? Broadly speaking, this is the property that a spouse acquired during the marriage, while separate property is the property that was not acquired during the marriage. This sounds simple, but sometimes it isn't. For example, some things like inheritances and gifts are separate property, even if they were acquired during the marriage. Things can also get tricky when separate property gets mixed with marital property. Once a court has figured out what should be divided, the next question is how it should be divided. Most states are equitable distribution states. In these states, property will be divided in a way that's fair. This gives some leeway to a judge. Often, though, the split is relatively even. 9 states, including California and Texas, use a community property system. They treat property acquired during the marriage as jointly owned by the spouses. This usually leads to a 50-50 split, but some community property states don't require that. However, none of this might matter if the spouses made a valid prenuptial agreement before their marriage, or a postnuptial agreement after their marriage. This can spell out who gets what in a divorce, so there's no uncertainty later. The second main thing that may come up in a divorce is alimony, or spousal support. The usual idea behind alimony is that one spouse might not be able to support themselves after a divorce. Maybe they don't have a job, or maybe they don't have the education or training that they need to get a job. Alimony can help them stay afloat until they can become self-supporting. Courts don't usually award alimony permanently. A lot of factors can go into an alimony decision. Some common things that a judge might consider are how long the marriage lasted, how much each spouse earns, and how old each spouse is. They also might look at whether one spouse helped the other pursue their career. That brings us to the last of the 3 main issues in divorce, which is child custody and support. If a couple has minor children, they'll need to figure out how much time each spouse gets with the kids and who has a say in the important parts of their upbringing. This might involve decisions related to education, religion, or healthcare, among others. Physical custody traditionally refers to the time that each parent lives with the kids, while legal custody refers to the right of each parent to make decisions about their upbringing. The parents can work out a parenting plan together that covers these issues. If they can't agree on a plan, a court will need to figure out custody based on the best interests of the child. More often than not, a court will try to set up a joint custody arrangement in which both parents still play a significant role in a child's life. But there are some times when one parent might get sole custody, like when the other parent has a record of domestic violence or major substance abuse issues. A court might also order one parent to pay child support to the other parent. Child support is usually shaped by things like the income of each parent and the parenting plan or custody order. States have developed formulas for calculating support. However, judges usually have some flexibility to order a different amount in certain situations. Thanks for watching this overview of issues in divorce law. If you'd like to learn more, check out the Justia Legal Guide on this topic. If you want to talk to a lawyer, you can use the Justia Lawyer Directory to find attorneys in your area who handle divorce matters. We wish you the best of luck in resolving any legal issues that you encounter. Remember to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more legal guides and law practice videos. See you in the next video.